straight run up.
Now he angles it somewhat. Barker-Daish.
Where do I start? It's been up and down.
I remember being a kid.
I can see that happening.
That's something, always something to do.
The Unlaced.
Unlaced podcast. It's actually not bad.
And we're live. We are back, people, on the Unlaced podcast. We're in some new digs today, Eth. We like this place at the Commons, the cool little podcast studio they've got. So we're going to be bringing you all our future podcasts from here. And definitely for those that have been tuning in and subscribing and giving us a lot of support over the last few episodes, we appreciate it. All of the people on TikTok and Instagram, you guys are the best, sharing all our content. And for those who haven't tuned into any episodes this year, do go back and check them. We've done some with the Melbourne Storm, with Tommy Bug, with the inspirational Liam Toomey as well, and they've all been really good episodes. So this has been a man that I've wanted to get on for a while. He's the elusive man, the elusive winger, the Tunisian Messi, as they call him. And he gets embarrassed when I say that, but that is definitely what they were calling him when he first came to the A-League. But it's the great Fahid Ben Khalfallah. Fahid.
Hi, bro.
Good, man. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Bro, now you've got a crazy life, but you're actually going to America tomorrow, aren't you?
Yeah, watch basketball.
Watch basketball. Can you talk into the mic? Yeah,
not just doing basketball, because I'm also getting some meetings, everything. That's the main thing. But
yeah,
taking advantage and going to a couple of basketball games.
Basketball. You love basketball. We just literally spoke for 10 minutes about it. I'm like, fuck, man, I hadn't even planned to speak about this in this podcast, but we should.
I do, to be honest. It's I would say it's the best sport, man. Best center.
It's
amazing.
Do you have a team you go for?
Golden State.
Golden State. Me too, actually.
Yeah, you told me last time.
Yeah, but only because that's the only NBA team.
Well, did you start following them when they were winning?
I did, but no, because I went to San Fran whilst they were good, and then I went to the Oracle Arena, and then I went a year later and I went to the Chase Center. It's crazy, man.
It's sick, to be honest. But any team, this, what they make with basketball, you can even go to a bad game. It's just amazing.
Yeah.
The ways they, the halftime, as soon as there's a stop, man, it's just sick. Everything they do, but I love it. I love it.
The way they bring the crowd in, like the kiss cam or the...
It's a show.
It's
everything they do, to be honest, the people they bring, singers, everything. Especially, look, there's a difference between playoff games and the regular season.
Yeah.
But, it's nothing better, to be honest. For me as a sport, look, there's nothing better.
Who do you think is going to be the top seed in the West and the East this year?
West, look, I hope Golden State.
Yeah. They're close, aren't they? They're top three?
I think the Suns, I think they'll catch, they'll play in finals, depending on if Draymond Green gets back from injury for Golden State.
Yeah.
The East is wild, man.
There's
so
East
many good players. So we'll see with the Nets, if KD and Ben Simmons come back, all together, they're loaded. I don't think there's a better team. If it matches, I think they can win it all. But it was now hard and everything. 76, man. It's
the Nets are 8.
Anyone can beat it. It's the Heat.
Bulls,
Bulls, everything, man. It's crazy. But that's one of the things. In NBA, it's there's so many good teams and players, and it's just a different sport, to be honest.
What was your because we obviously Ben Simmons Australian, everyone loves him, but you're probably got less of a bias because you've come from France, even though you're now probably Australian, your daughter's Australian and so forth. But what's your unbiased view of that situation of him at the 76ers and then obviously the Brooklyn trade?
I think it's disrespectful what he's done. I think it's bullshit because you don't accept people saying you're soft, or because he got criticized. It's just because the coach said, I don't know if I can win with him or whatever.
Yeah.
Man, if you have balls or something, you go there and you show him he's wrong. Yeah. But it's just whatever. Look, mental health is a big issue, but using that...
But is that what...
That's what he said, but I don't know if it's true or something. I don't know, maybe not, but... It's just the guy didn't want to play, and you can't do that. And especially then you want to get your money, and the monies are getting paid. It's just ridiculous. So he deserves it. Don't get me wrong, but I think it was disrespectful, to be honest, to do that kind of stuff. So just because you don't want to be criticized or something, so man, do something else.
Bro, can you imagine in your days playing football at the highest level and turning up to training in tracksuit pants and your iPhone in your pocket, running plays?
Bro,
fuck.
To be honest, that's the thing. I know it's like new generation, and everyone like is on TikTok, Instagram, and all that stuff. But look, in America, it's very different. Like the way they behave on court, off court, we can't do that in football. Like even now, for example, the way they get dressed before games, everything, like it's just a show. So I love it. I love that kind of stuff. Like you see on the bench the way they react, someone like gets smashed on or get done.
Yeah.
Like it's just like they let you live your life.
Yeah.
And I think it's probably like the mentality there.
Do you think that's better for sport, or do you think it's because from our background,
I'm kind of old school about that. I
Yeah.
think for me, there's rules you have to follow and you need to focus. But look, they can go out, they can go to Vegas the following day. Like the best player who ever played the game, Michael Jordan, was probably the worst example. The guy could not sleep like the whole night, and the following day he was going there, and he would have scored 50.
No, I never knew that about him.
Yeah,
like
he's
he
a
was
guy
like
who would smoke a cigar before the game or whatever. He would do things like that, but he can. Like I was in France when Ronaldinho was playing, and he's the type of guy, like he's got that reputation to go out like almost every night, and it's always the same. Like, would you say something to a player if he's good on the pitch? Yeah. And if I have a player, man, and if he wants to go out, go. But on the long term, it might not work. Yeah. But in basketball, it's probably different. They play every day. So I think it's also like a different mentality. In football, it doesn't work like that. No, so it's very different. And I don't know, man. It's it would be very, very
Bro,
tough.
I heard this story. This is why I said this about Michael Jordan. I heard this story the other day. It was like there's I don't know. He must be very well off and well known in the corporate space, and he was friends with Michael Jordan. You know how Michael Jordan, like a big gambler. Yeah. So they played 18 holes. And I think this was the day of a game or the day before. Either or, the story's still fucked. But I'm pretty sure it's the day of the game. They played 18 holes and they played for a huge sum of money. And this guy beat Michael Jordan over 18 holes. And while they're playing, they're drinking Bud Lights. They're drinking beer. And it got to the end of their game and Michael's like, he's like double or nothing. Yeah. So they played again. They played another 18 holes. So he played 36 holes. The guy goes, we were drinking the whole way through. He goes, I beat him again. And then Michael, because like he drank like fucking 20 beers or something like throughout the game, like Bud Lights, but still he drank. And he goes, I can't remember who he was playing. He was playing someone in the East. And he goes to Michael, he's like, I'll bet money you guys won't win or you won't score over 20 points or 25 points. And Michael goes, all right, like you're on. The guy went and dropped like 50 points. Yeah. After having fucking 20 Bud Lights and playing 36 holes of golf. At,
like even there's a documentary now, there's a documentary on Paramount and about like the Dream Team. And like before he played the final, he actually didn't sleep the whole night. Playing cards, everything.
In the Olympics.
Yeah. And then so like he had to do but because the guy was just like but he used to do that. Even like when he played finals, like the guy was going to the casino, gambling, everything, coming back, smoking cigars. But man, he was just, and that's why he was just much better. Yeah. You can't say anything. If tomorrow like you're coaching and the guy wants to go out because that's what makes him happy, you gotta accept that. Yeah. And that's where I think like we need probably to change the mentality in football, because like we have rules, we respect that, everyone's gotta you travel, everyone has to go bed at the same time, blah blah whatever. But man, if you have someone who's he's gonna perform, let him do his things. So it's tough, but I think that's just man management. Yeah, but man, you can't say anything to someone.
I know. Well, and then he does that. It's like, but it's hard to relate to as an athlete.
And that's why for us soccer player, it's very different because
you can't do that.
Nah, because it's a different sport. But I think, to be honest, today, like even when I was coaching, I was saying to player, man, it makes you happy to go out. Yeah, just go. But make sure tomorrow you come and you perform, because if you don't, I'm gonna destroy you. So that's the thing. Like it's you give them something, but they have to give you something back.
Did you ever play with players that were good at that? Like they could do both?
There's one story, man. Like my first year, I signed for Caen in first division. That was my first year in first division. So I got transferred from a second class.
What are you called? League One?
Yeah,
it's a top flight.
Yeah. So I was in second division playing for Angers, and that week I got transferred to Caen in League One. And there's a striker, Man, he was top, like a top striker. But he used to play in amateur level. His name was Steve Sabidan. He used to play in amateur level, but he used to go out everything because he used to enjoy life. That was his life. Like he was like the guy was actually cleaning things for the city, the beans, all that stuff, and he got lucky and not lucky. He obviously worked and he made it. So for him was just like, I want to enjoy my life. I want to play at the highest level, but I want to enjoy my life. Anyways, that week we're going training everything, and I'm staying at the hotel. He's staying at the hotel, and we knew a bit each other. So we used to go like restaurants every time together. And the day before the game, he said, "Oh, let's go eat." And I said,
top flight French football game.
And I said, "No, we're staying here. We're staying at the hotel. Everything like just to eat there, like to be serious." And we played at home, so we were just together because we obviously like we just moved from another club. And he's like, "Nah, let's go to the city as usual or whatever." I said, "Oh man, we've got a game tomorrow." He said, "Nah, don't worry, man, let's go, whatever." And I was like, "All right, well." He's got a Porsche.
Your arm's easy to twist.
He's got a Porsche. He drives everything. We get there, so we're having dinner, and he said, "Oh, let's go." Like so, 10 p.m. or something, we finish eating, and he said, "Oh, let's go have a drink." I said, "Nah." He said, "Oh, whatever, a striker, Lilian is coming," and the guy comes, whatever. I said, "No, man, we've got a game tomorrow." He said, "Man, don't worry, the coach is coming as well." I said, "What?"
Your coach?
Yeah, and I was like, "Nah, man." I said, "Man, give me your keys."
No.
Man, give me your keys. I'm going back to the hotel. That was my first game, professional level.
Like so you didn't like, okay, so it's
and I was like,
for
man,
you, right?
I'm just, I've never went out before a game or something.
Yeah, you go out sometimes after, but you wouldn't go out before.
After, yeah, but never before. So I was like, man, he said, "I'll take my keys, everything." I said, "Man, I'm going back home, going back to the hotel." Bro, at 4 a.m., someone is knocking on the door, yelling like, he used to call me like terrorist. he used to call me. And bro, like someone knocking on the door like crazy. 4 a.m. I wake up, bro. He's got like red eyes, sweating, shirt open shirt, everything. And I'm like, "What the fuck, bro? What are you doing?" He said, "Bro, I'm scoring 3 goals tomorrow." And I was like, man, he's on a different world. Bro, he can't. Anyway, we wake up, we're going to the stadium to have a lunch all together. And bro, he's fine. Like you can see, like he's fine. You can't see nothing. Anyway, we're going back to the hotel, everything, after with the team to have like siesta, nap, everything, blah, blah. Bro, he scored 3 goals. He scored 3 goals. Best player on the pitch, everything. And I was like, man, he's on a different planet. And then, so we became friends. And he used to go out like 2 days before the game, sometimes a day before the game. But it made him happy. He needed that. And so, but as soon as, like, you know how it is, you don't score, people start criticizing your lifestyle or what you do anyway. But bro, he was like that. And then he played for the French national team. But what he was doing, bro, sometimes coming back, you got to run. He's like running like no one else. But he was like a machine. But that was his life.
That's crazy.
And
so for him, it's normal.
For him, it was normal. But because he wanted that, he needed that. If you told him like, "Nah, man, you got to stay here," he would have said, "Nah." So I think everyone is different. Me, I wouldn't be able to do that.
I don't think I would.
To be honest, I can't.
Yeah.
But yes, you have 3 or 4 players like that. Look, man. But then on the long term,
it's
work, you know what? It's gonna catch you. I think like
those guys retire at like 31.
Yeah, he actually had a heart issue. Like,
sorry to laugh.
Like,
fuck, well,
he actually, to be honest, he got transferred that year to Monaco.
Wow, it's a big transfer.
Yeah, he got transferred everything, and when he did the medicals, they found like he had a heart issue, everything. So he actually had to stop playing. Everything.
That's not probably because of drinking. That's like
no, it's probably something whatever. But then people started saying, "Oh, if you had like a good like whatever lifestyle, everything, maybe he would have played more." I don't know about that, but
so common now.
Bro, it was like, yeah. But it happens, man. You see that to every club, and sometimes you just wonder, like, man, how can they do that? And you've got the one they want to go out and
I know,
and
man.
there's plastics on the pitch. They can't even run or nothing. And so then you definitely should stop them.
I know, that's the worst part. The guys that are trying to be pros and can't play. But people don't know. Like, obviously, you had an unbelievable career, which we're going to go into, and people here know you most for obviously Melbourne Victory, but. Like your French career was unbelievable, but now more so. Like, I don't think many people know what you do off the field, and like, it's funny. We laugh about this all the time because.
No, but I don't.
You stay silent.
Yeah,
you stay like
because a lot of people, and it's not criticizing. When you finish your career and for example, people talk about you or you're famous, everything. Even here, like in Australia, it's a bit different because soccer is not like massive, but you're on TV, people talk about you, they recognize you, blah blah. But when you stop, people still want to be in the light. Some of them, they want to do things or stupid things so people can talk about them. For me, I was like, I stop. I don't want anyone to talk about me. I don't have any social media.
Why though? Because I was a bit like that
it's
too.
just because, to be honest, I don't care. I don't give a shit, to be honest, about that stuff, whatever people talk. Because I know what I've done in my career. I know what I've done, and I know how I am as a person. I've got my friends, everything. I'm happy like that. And even now, for example, like people ask me, like, I was coaching a club in NPL. Heaps of people didn't even know that. So, and I've never talked about that and didn't say anything. And now, for example, I work with my agent, and we try to get a couple of players and work here. Like I'm trying to work here and to help.
Bro, your work here is unbelievable.
But you can't say anything.
No, I'm not going to say. I'm not going to say. I'm not going to say what's going on.
No, but because
right?
I can't. Because people they need to. I don't know how I can explain that, but sometimes they need to say, "Oh, he's good." Or I don't care if people talk about me. I don't need that. I know what I can do, so I don't need people to say, "Oh, Fahid can do that for you, man," or whatever. Nah, for me, I do my job. Yeah. I don't need people, whatever, to say, "Oh, man, you should probably, fuck, man, Fahid is good. Maybe we can talk about him." Doesn't matter. My agent is the best example, man. He's got massive players. People like he doesn't say a word, and people obviously know him. But he's never on media, never says anything, never talks to the press or whatever, and he's massive. Yeah, and he's like a brother to me or something. But what's the point?
Yeah, well, there's no point. You'd rather be a good agent than a known agent.
For me, when you're good, and I don't have social media, which sometimes is probably good as well because I would be saying something stupid.
Yeah, I know. That's why I wanted you on this.
But sometimes you've got people that have no credibility and they talk about football. That pisses me off.
Yeah.
That really, really pisses me off.
I think that's the one thing that I reckon would piss you off the most is people who don't know football and having a strong opinion.
You can. Everyone is entitled to his opinion, but it's the same. Look, for example, I bought my place. I give you an example in real estate. All right, I own my place. I bought a couple of places or something. But if I'm gonna talk to a real estate agent, doesn't mean because I bought a place or whatever, then I know better than him. Yeah. And that's the same thing in football. If you never played at the highest level, you don't know what it is. You can't have an idea about that. So you can talk about football, you understand things, whatever, but when it comes to the highest level, if you haven't played, then it's bullshit. And people always say, talk about Ferguson or Mourinho that never played. Well, they've always been involved in football for years and years and years. And those people, they're managers. Yeah. They're very good at that. That one thing that pisses me off here, like it's in Australia, is the coaches with juniors. And man, you go to the park and bro, like you see some of them, they don't even know how to coach. They can't even teach the kid. And because they put a parka or jersey or whatever, Victory, CD, everything, they take advantage of that. Said, I've coached for them.
They charge so much money too.
But bro, they can't even coach. And they take advantage of people. Yeah. And then they said, but I coach there or whatever. Man, just shut up, man. You don't know nothing about that. And that pisses me off.
That's what I wanted to ask you about, because it's amazing, right? No, I'm not going to say what's going on behind the scenes, but you're obviously now tapping into the football agency space if no one picked that up. But your phone, it's funny because you're working with all the European agents, particularly the French football, your connections in French football. Your phone rings from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. So I see you through the day. I'm like, what are you doing, man? It looks like you're on for a run. You're walking the dog. You're chilling out. And the next thing you know, you've got all your phones just ringing. But the deals you're bringing to some of these kids in Australia or potential conversations.
There's
it's pretty crazy, man. For some of the quality of the kids, or not the quality because they can play, but they haven't really done a heap.
Nah, but that's where you got to look at the potential. And for me, my job is to help the kids if I can give them a chance to go to Europe because there's nothing better. And I know the football, I've played everything, so I can help them and not teach them or something, but I can help them. If I watch a game, I can tell them yes, I've been doing that. It's wrong. It's bad. That you need to improve in that. Because I've played and I know that. That's one thing a lot of people can't do that. That's the first thing. And then it's about my connection. Obviously, I work with my agent. He's massive in France, in Europe. He can help me. But the players, you need to make sure they're good because I will never try to sell someone or to lie, because then that's my reputation. If I'm gonna tell you, oh, look, this player, whatever, he's good, he comes and he can't play, you're gonna look at me and say, man, he's an idiot.
They won't pick
You're
up
an
the next
idiot.
phone call.
Man, that's fine. And I would never do that.
Yeah.
So I want to work with specific players, the one I really want to pick. If someone asks me for help or something, I would try, but I would never put my reputation online for that.
Yeah.
If I believe in the young players, I would definitely do it, but because I believe that. And then when I speak to clubs in France or whatever, the majority of the people I played with, some of my friends, like they're in charge now of as a technical director, coaches, everything.
Okay.
So in France, I would say except 2 or 3 clubs, I can get access to almost everyone.
Wow.
And so I can pick up my phone, ring coaches or whatever, and they will pick up, and it's easy. But then it's, look, I think this kid is really good. Look at him, and you tell me what you think. And if they think he's good, then they call me back, and we try to make it work. If they say, nah, look, man, we don't like him, that's fine. I'm not going to try to force, because there's no point. If a coach doesn't want you, man, don't send the kid there. If a coach doesn't want him or something, there's no point. Yeah, you can force, you can try to help, and because your reputation or you know what, you know friend, but what's the point? If you know the kid is going to struggle, that's not a lot of agents that just try to put kids everywhere or players everywhere, knowing it's not going to work, but just to make money.
Yeah.
And that's not what I want to do. And that's to be honest, it's one of the reasons why I want to do that, because man, it makes me sick.
Yeah.
Just send a couple of players, in like whatever shit leagues, and it's not gonna work. And the players, what do they do? They come back 6 months later.
Yeah.
Majority of the players come back 6 months later, a year later.
100%.
But you need to warn them. You need to tell them how hard it is. You need to explain to them, man. And I tell my players, the one I've got, and some of them obviously are gonna go to Europe. I'm not gonna be the agent bringing you back to Australia. Man, if you sign 3 years, 2 years, 1 year, whatever, man, you stay, and you gotta work hard, because that's it's very, very hard. Yeah. But if you succeed, man, there's nothing better.
But your career is the prime example, because you know what? I didn't actually know that you played 2nd and 3rd division in France until you're 25.
Yeah.
Because you played like an incredible level, international football. We spoke yesterday, like Europa League as well.
Yeah.
But you actually didn't break into the 1st division until 25.
But I never went into academies, where in France, if you don't go through academies, it's very, very hard. So I was playing like until 18 or 17, like with amateur clubs.
Right.
And I was doing really well, whatever. And there's clubs that came to Venice, and I had like clubs like Lille, Paris Saint-Germain. They wanted me to come, but to sign with the 2nd team. And I was like, a coach came from Amiens. He was coaching in 2nd division. He came to my place, and he said, "No, I want you to train with us, but then it's gonna be tough." And I was like, "Yeah, that's fine." And I signed there, but then I had to work, and sometimes, man, it's hard. Like I struggle. Like we got relegated in 2005 or 6, like in 3rd division with my team.
Fuck.
And a club from Bulgaria, Litek Slovak, came. They were playing the Europa League, everything back then. Man, they made me an offer, like really good money, and I was playing in 3rd division. I wasn't on good money.
Wow.
And I was thinking about it, and I was like, "Oh, it's gonna be massive, everything." And I spoke with my agent. My agent was like, "Look, you need to understand, you can go there, but you don't know what's going to happen. It might be good, it might be bad. If you perform in 3rd division, you can go in 1st division. Like, it's not going to stop you, but you need to believe, blah, blah, whatever." And I stayed, and I had a really good season. I went back to 2nd division club, like with a top coach, my mentor now. And it started like that. But I never quit. I never, like, in my mind, I was like, one day with my wife, actually, we went to watch Rennes. Rennes
were they 1st division?
They were in 1st division, and I was in 3rd. But when I was watching the game, I was like, they're not better. I know what I can do, and some of them are not better than me. And I promised my wife that day, like we were going back, and I said, I swear to God, I will play. I'm gonna make it. Yeah. And up to be honest, I was.
That's great. How old were you then when you said that?
I was 23 or something.
Fuck,
but then I was like,
pushing then.
Yeah.
So 2nd division and 3rd division is still professional. Is it professional leagues?
Yeah, we were professional. 2nd division is really good level. Like, man, much better than A-League, for example.
Yeah.
But it's tough to make it because there's so many players. And look, you need luck. It's like you need talent or whatever you want to call it. You need to be good, but you need luck. And I met that coach in 2nd division. His name is Jean-Louis Garcia, who helped me like crazy. I reached a level with him. Like I was like, I was really good. And I think that year I finished 2nd best player in 2nd division.
Wow.
And I got transferred in first division, and then like I started, but then it's like it's that's why it's hard, bro. And when people here's a lifestyle, like it's amazing, but majority of players don't understand how hard you have to work to make it.
What do you think the now you've been here a long time and you've probably been around like the youth setup enough in Australia, particularly since it's changed, like where it's now focused on the youth teams and the clubs, and you've seen a lot of the junior clubs because you've worked in it. Like, what's the biggest difference between here and Europe? Like, where do we? Because we have talent here, but I don't think it gets molded in the right.
Look, and I'm gonna be very honest. The coaches are not good enough in academies
in Australia.
Yeah, because first of all, amateur clubs, they take a piece. We're going to keep it simple. There's good clubs trying to do the right things, everything, but the majority of the coaches, they just want to get a bit of money or whatever. You look at the sessions, what they do, it's bullshit. Horrible, it's horrible.
It's not even fun to train.
Yeah, but and that's one of the things I hate, because they just go there, whatever, put fork on somewhere and just play. Yeah. Nah, the kids, like, you need to teach them things and that's why I always said in Europe, we always say the same thing. The best coaches are with the academy, because you need to demonstrate. For example, if you have a 13 years old and he struggles, for example, to cross, you need to show him how he can improve. Yeah. But those people, they never kick the ball.
But you know what? You know what my opinion is? The coaches here are unbelievable at pretending they know a lot.
Oh yeah,
they're very good at that, man. They come across like they know what they're doing.
So and that's one of the things. So and then they train like twice, sometimes 3 times. But they'll never do a lot of things or different things. Where in the season here, whatever, it's like 7 months, 8 months, and you stop. Then you've got the cricket season, everything. Where in France you play 11 months, and you've got so many games, everything, so repetitions. Yeah. Look, it's very expensive sport here. You got to pay 1,500, 2.5 grand, 3 grand to play. Where in Europe,
when you
have to play like €100 to play the whole year.
Yeah, it's bullshit.
So, but then at the professional level, I know clubs are trying to do better things with the academy. It's about resources. I think the clubs don't want to spend, because I've always said something. If you have a great academy and if you're not afraid because of the salary cap, everything, and today you can see there's a lot of kids playing, but some of them don't deserve it. It's just because of the salary cap. So there's a difference, because it doesn't make the level better. But if you have the right, like for example, the right coaches in your academy, and you start developing kids and having 16, 17 years old playing in A-League, then you can transfer them, make money, and you put the money back, for example, within the academy or coaches and resources, everything. So, but you can't be afraid of that. Yeah. And I think we have a long way to go to make things better. Today, because of what happened with COVID, the salary cap went down and the TV rights, everything. So you actually have to play kids. It's going to give them game time, everything. But you need to change a lot of things to make it happen. Like, even look, we talk second division, whatever. Fix the A-League first before talking about the second division. Because they say, oh yeah, it's gonna give a chance to the kids. Yeah, but if the kids are not good enough, so you need to think about the program, coaches you're gonna put in place, and just to help them, because Australia is a great country, and in sport like rugby, cricket, everything, they're doing really well. So in soccer, you should be able to do that.
Yeah, I agree, man. It's crazy you say that, because I think like here we don't get taught the basics well enough.
Look, man,
we go straight into like superior skills.
But to be honest, in A-League, I had players with me, like if you ask them to juggle, to do like 50 with, like, for example, like a left, and they can't. Yeah. And that's not normal. That's part of the technical stuff. But if you ask a player, for example, to kick the ball with his left foot, then he can't, because I think a lot of clubs try just to make robots, and which is really bad. And yeah, it's they need to change a lot of things. They need to look. Even today, you talk about the soccer rules, everything. It's not working. It doesn't work. But it's just, I think, a lack of quality at one point. And they need to change a lot of things. But it's a long-term program. And every time they just think about a short-term, and that's why it's not working. They always think like, we need to do that 1 year, 2 years. Man, all the kids like 11 years old, 10 years old, everything, they need to do things better. But man, in NPL better than me, like there's so much politics and having friends and like having just people or whatever trying to sponsor the team, everything, their coaches, and they're just rubbish.
Yeah.
So
I think we fucked up not keeping the AIS, man. I really do, because we attracted the quality of coaching there was good. And to be honest, even though football's played by so many juniors here, the talent pool's not as big and as good as Europe
No,
because we
it's
don't
not.
have the quality of coaching.
It's not, but
So you
you
put them
should
all into
have-
one.
Yeah,
Fuck,
but you
it's
should
much
have
better.
you should have better players, and like when you had that, a lot of players actually played in A League after they made it.
Almost every single
That's
one.
why. So it definitely helped. But today it's like, look, the country is so big, and I've always said the same thing. If you're Melbourne Victory, for example, and the best 15 years old plays for Perth in amateur, you should be able to go and sign him. But
Yeah.
they don't,
Yeah.
because you don't have the accommodation, facilities, everything to do that, like resources. So you need to be able to look after him for schools. So that's, you just focus, for example, on the CBD, whatever here
Yeah.
around the CBD,
Smaller
whatever.
talent pool.
You're not gonna get anything. So those clubs, for example, like it's so far away. If it's in Perth, like you gotta explain like, 4.5 hours flight or whatever for the parents. We're gonna look after your kids, but that's what they do in Europe.
Yeah.
So it's hard because they just focus on one or two things. If I was it comes to money. But there's a couple of clubs like CD Victory, Sydney FC, Western Sydney, Western United. They can afford that today. You know, there's one like, you know, they can probably
the funding.
they have money, they have people behind, they can support that and try to lead to things better. It's just the way after you want to spend the money, and but you need to change things, man, to make things better.
Yeah, I agree. I want to talk to you about like the quality of French football, because you obviously started in the lower ranks, but then when you got recognised and you went to Caen when you were 25, and then what was the club after called?
Bordeaux. I played Valenciennes.
Valenciennes. Yeah, but no, I want to talk about Valenciennes because you got signed from there to Bordeaux for 5 million euros. I think it was in 2009, 2010.
Yeah.
Which I think back then is a big fee for a club, for a player from that club,
Yeah.
right?
It was because
And Bordeaux is like, at the time, I think Bordeaux was like in and out of Champions League.
No, it was like top 3 in France back
Yeah,
then.
when it was Gourcuff there? Jan Gourcuff?
So actually he got transferred and I took his place.
Wow, he was their best player.
He was,
I used to
yeah.
watch him play in the Champions League all
He
the
was
time.
amazing. He was amazing. But that
Such a good set
Bordeaux
piece
was
taker.
just, look, they're struggling this year, and to be honest, I hope they're gonna remain because they're struggling. They had a lot of issues the last 2 or 3 years, whatever, finance and president, everything. It's a massive club.
You know, back then, I think the teams that I knew more, I didn't know, I mean, PSG I knew of, but the teams that were playing Champions League more regularly was Lyon and Bordeaux.
Yeah, Bordeaux, yeah.
Those
But
and maybe
Bordeaux,
Marseille
Bordeaux, I
sometimes.
think in 2009 they played the Champions League quarterfinal against Lyon, and they beat like Bayern Munich, they beat Juventus.
They were a
had
good
an
team,
amazing
man.
team. It's such a big club.
What was the level like of like, because we could,
amazing. To be honest, like, look, even in Valenciennes, I had a great season. I think I scored like 9 or 10 goals, and I think in assist, I think it's second in assist in France that year. I think
there was- I
11
saw
or 12.
statistics
I
in
think
my-
Lucho Gonzalez, who was in Marseille,
was he? He's a good player.
he finished first and I finished second.
Fuck.
And so I got transferred to Bordeaux. But even at training, like, we were probably like 19 international players.
Wow.
So the level, the quality, to be honest, trainings I was just on a different level. And you see someone get injured, man, they don't stop.
Yeah.
You know, and like you just wait for the physio to, man, they don't stop. They keep playing because there's no friendship.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things I learned there is like people want to take your spot. So you can have 1 or 2 friends or whatever, but man, they don't care. If you get
They'll take
injured,
you
you know
out.
what? Man, if you're injured, they're going to be happy because that's your like you make a living. And you need to you want to make money and you want to sign for big clubs and you're ambitious, everything, and so you want to play for your national team. So it's like training is a war, like small games, everything. It's just different. You do a soccer tennis, man, you don't want to lose. And you get upset. And I've always been like that. But when I signed for Bordeaux, I've learned that. And look, having obviously a lot of international players, like we had probably 4 players playing for the French national team, players playing for Brazil, Czech Republic, everything. Man, we had an amazing team. The club was like massive. It was an amazing experience.
How did the move come to Australia? Like, did you even know we had a league?
Nah, to be honest, my agent. So I had enough, to be honest, of France and the Europe, everything, and I was like, look, I want something different. And whatever, I had offer from Turkey, everything. I said, look, I would love to have to go to a country where I can learn English, even for my family, everything would be helpful. And we had offer from Greece. I said, nah, blah, blah. And he called me once. He said, I've got an offer. They speak English, but it's a bit far. And I thought about MLS, and he said, it's in Australia. And to be honest, I was like, man, I didn't even know they played soccer. I was like, no, I was like, yeah, why not? And to be honest, like he said look, it's Melbourne Victory. I looked quickly. So I said, look, let me talk to my wife. I'll come back to you. My wife was like, yeah, well, you wanted to learn English, everything. So yeah, just let's go.
How old were you at this point? 31, 32?
31, yeah.
So
almost 32.
So your first season was at 32?
Yeah.
That's fucking amazing.
And
man.
I was like,
and now you're.
But I called him
here.
and I called him back. I said, yeah, all right, or arrange a phone call, everything. Get me the coach. Or
Was it with Muskie at the time?
Muskie, but because I couldn't speak English, Jean-Paul de Marini, like he's Mauritius, so he could speak French.
His assistant.
So he was translating, and we spoke, and he was like, oh, look, we want you to come, blah, blah. I said, yeah, all right, no problem. And to be honest, I checked quickly after, so I called my agent back. I said, what's the club, by the way? He said, oh, Victory. I said, Victory. He said, where? He said, oh, I think it's in Melbourne. Anyway, I looked at online and like there's Amy Park, and I was like, oh, no way they're playing there. Like, I was like, yeah, no way.
Well, you thought it'd be a shit stadium or something? Because Amy
I
Park's
thought, like, seriously,
right?
I thought, like, we are going to play, like, in front of 500 people. I swear to God, bro. I swear to God. And when I first came, my first game was against Western Wanderers.
Yeah,
Sydney
fucking they
Wanderers.
had big crowds, man. When
It was in
first...
Melbourne. We played at Etihad.
And
like,
there they had big travelling fans.
We had like 45 or 46,000.
Fuck, you would have been like,
that's
what is
sick,
this?
bro. I was like, that's sick.
Yeah.
And I loved it. I loved every moment after that.
Yeah.
It was hard. The training and everything, like mentally, was a bit tough.
Just to get used to the level, or like
get
the
used
style?
to the style. Everything was different. Training is like here, like in with the salary cap. So you've got good players and some players like they're young and they don't have the level, but just because of the squad. Training was like, but then to be honest, I loved it. I was like, look, don't get me wrong, man. There's nothing compared to Europe, but at my age, coming here with my family and things like I could do, like I remember my daughter. So we went to the beach, and for the first time we could enjoy time at the beach without having someone coming to me and asking for a signature. So because in Bordeaux, like once we went to the beach and like for like 30 minutes we had people just like fans, everything coming. And in France, man, they're not that respectful, bro. They come, they don't care if you're playing. They just come, they want to take a picture, they take you, whatever, if you play or something. And so we got here, and bro, I was like, I can have a normal life. Like things like I couldn't do in France, like with my family. And the fans, like obviously, man, Victory, like it's such a really good club, like family club. Yeah. But the fans were amazing. I loved every moment.
I don't think
my first year was amazing.
I think we've spoken of this before, because the year before you came was my last year in the A-League. Yeah. And I genuinely think, I'm not being biased, but I genuinely think that the league was at its highest level of quality. Yeah,
my first year,
through that period.
My first year, to be honest, I think the level was kind of like a second division in France. Like, probably. To be honest, like the best teams like Sydney FC, us. I think the level was good, and we had good players coming from overseas. Like they were really good. Like even Yanko, those players like Jacques Fati played in France, like Dimitrievich, and those players, to be honest, like they were good. And my first year was amazing. Like off the field, on the field, man. I think, we used to go out after every game, and we obviously Rash Mahazi, Danny Georgieski, Jason Guerrero.
I think your best friendships off the field.
But the three of them, like for me, they're like family today. To be honest, like they're like
you're
brothers.
all still in touch the same too, huh?
Oh man, but what they gave me, because man, I came and it was tough to speak another language, but everyone helped me. But those three, so we were always together, and Rash taught me English well, better, because Georgieski can't even speak English.
Now he's on TV.
But him and Jess helped me. Danny was like helped me swearing, so he taught me that.
Of course.
But what I built with them and what I had with them was just amazing. Like when you go and train, because in France like was just a bit different, because it's war. Like you go training, and like you it's a job, but you need to get your spot. Here was like, I know I'm going to play, but I know I can be good, but I can enjoy my life off the field. Something, to be honest, was a bit tougher in France. Yeah. But I loved it, man, seriously.
You had fucking unbelievable year here. Unbelievable seasons here.
The first year was amazing, because
Was the first year when you won the premiership? No.
Yeah.
So first year you won everything.
We won the FFA, everything.
Fuck.
And we had a great team. The bond, like within the players, everything, man. It was just like the club, everything. Like I was like shocked, but in a good way. And even like with my family, like we were so happy. And I knew, like, to be honest, we had offers. I had offers from a couple of countries from Asia and even clubs from A-League and as a marquee player. And we're going to stay. Like, we just loved it. Everything.
Your daughter
We
loved
stayed.
it here too, though, didn't she?
My
That's one of
wife,
the
my
main
daughter
reasons
loved- they loved-
you've stayed.
That was
huh?
the main reason.
Yeah.
Because look, for me, it's all about family.
Yeah.
And I always make decision about my family. So if they told me now we want to leave, I would have said yeah. Because they told me like they were happy, I was like, man, that's it.
Yeah.
There's no point. I'm happy here, whatever. Yeah, you can make more money. It's fine. But luckily, like, you know, I've got a pretty good career, so it was fine. And I was like, yeah, I would never make a decision based on money. Otherwise, man, I would have gone to Saudi because I had an offer from Saudi before coming here.
Money.
Which was like, yeah, probably we could add like a zero.
Holy fuck.
Could
You
add
said
zero
no.
to minutes, and I said
Wow.
no but first of all, with my wife, I'm not married. So and then I was like, oh man, I can't take my daughter there. Like in terms of education. And look, I don't criticize, bro, because I get people when they get to a certain age, they should go and make money because it's a short career. I was just different. I was like, my lifestyle is too important.
Yeah.
My family is too important for me.
It's a
so
good place to live, man.
it's a great place to
Pre-COVID
live.
anyway.
Like
one of the funniest things, and this, I'm going to let you explain this story, but I'm just going to set the scene because when Fahid came to the A-League, he fucking blew it up. At 32, to be fair, the way you were moving, you were still moving at like 26, 27. Like, you've always been very athletic. Even now I see you run, I'm like, fuck hell. I'm fucking 28 and you're running like I should. But at the time, so I think you won everything. You also won the victory medal. But the year you guys won the championship, so I can't remember. It's championships that for me is the grand final.
Yeah.
But the premiership was obviously it's the other way around. Championship's the league, premierships for the grand final. So the championship, you guys were coming. I think you guys came like third or fourth. I don't know if you come on top.
my first year we won it.
But you did.
We won first and we won everything my first year. Then it was my last year where we finished second and we lost in grand final.
Ah, okay.
But the first year we won everything.
So no, because there's a famous story about you and one of the directors having a bet, because I think it was just before the finals, and you said to one of the directors, or they said to you, either or, that if you guys win everything from here on, I'll fund, or you ask, can you fund us to a trip for the end of season to go to Vegas?
Yeah.
And the guy goes, all right, you're on. If you win everything, you win the grand final.
It was Anthony Di Pietro, the chairman.
Was it the chairman?
Because the story is like, obviously they wanted me to stay, but we didn't have any negotiation. And one day, like, we played Western Sydney away. We won like 3-0. I had 3 assists. And at the end of the game, like, I had a great game, everything. And Tara Rushton came, whatever. She said, oh, Fahid, we want you to stay in Australia, everything. I said, oh, I want to stay. But I don't think like they want to keep me because I haven't started anything. Anyway, I said, oh, but look, there's other clubs, so I'll be happy to talk with other clubs.
Yeah.
Anyway, straight away, I got a text message from the chairman. Now we want you to stay. So that week, they started obviously coming with about negotiation. Anyway, financially, like the club, because I couldn't sign marquee player because Milligan and Berisha were marquees. And anyway, financially, it was like, yeah, we need to find an agreement. I'm willing to make an effort to stay here, but at the same time, you need to do that. Yeah. And I spoke with the chairman and I said, all right, I'll stay, but you got to make me a promise. We're going to win it. And I was so confident. I said, look, we're going to win it, but you got to promise me you guys would get money and you'll get everyone to Vegas. And he was like, that was a part of the thing. And then he said yes. And to be honest, the day we won it, the first thing, he came on the pitch crying with his dad. And he wanted to hug me. And he was like, Fahid, we won it. I said, Chairman, we're going to Vegas.
Oh, did he remember the first thing you said?
First thing, I swear to God, I told him. He remembers that. I told him, I said, we're going to Vegas, everything.
Wow.
And then the following day, whatever, we started talking about that. And I was like, man, if we're not going, I'm leaving.
This is how you were.
No,
this
because
is how you were at victory.
If you make a promise to someone, you gotta keep it. Regardless what you do, whatever. For me, it's like, if I shake your hand, I know like now, for example, it's all about contract. Yeah. For me, you shake my hand, that's it. It's enough. I don't need anything else. But the chairman is like that, to be honest. Like, don't get me wrong. And anyways, 2 days later, we had a dinner. We had a lunch. in
Was it
South,
at the lunch you called him
South
out,
Melbourne.
or was it a
So
the medal
there,
night?
whatever. I take the microphone. He's
Yes.
talking everything
This
in
is what I
microphone. I
heard.
said, "Oh, what about Vegas?" And he's laughing everything. He said, "No, what about Vegas?" Actually, no, I'm not kidding. Anyway, so straight away after his speech, I went to see him. I said, "Well, no, seriously, now." And he said, "Look, get tomorrow in the office. Everything we'll talk about that."
Wow.
And because we had the victory medal, but you have to because of the salary cap, you need to organize things, auctions, everything, because legally you can't do it. You can't do that. So we had to organize auctions to get some money from whatever, to get money. And we went. But obviously
Shout out to
with
the
the auction,
chairman
so
for
I
that.
had to sell, for example, my jersey, my boots from the grand final, all that stuff, memories you can keep. I
Just to
sold
take
them.
the boys to Vegas.
But we sold so a lot of stuff, even someone like Josh Calombaris back then, he helped the club. So for us, we went to see him and said, "Look, can you cook to people? Go to people's place, whatever, so they can buy that, so we can make money." And to be honest, he agreed.
What a
Everyone
guy.
helped.
What a guy,
man.
man. Yeah, 'cause everyone was buzzing when we
helped.
won.
And so we ended up going to Vegas for a week. And it was
the best
just
trip ever.
amazing.
That's what
But
I've heard.
because the atmosphere between players was
good.
that good. So, it's going with family, friends, everything, and you feel you feel comfortable. But that year, look, man, the chairman, everyone was happy.
Yeah,
He
shout out
kept
to the
his
chairman,
plan.
man. He kept his
He's
promise.
a
That's
great person.
yeah,
he's a great person.
He's important for that club. But the
He's,
fact you got the funny thing, and what I told is that you got the microphone at an
No,
event
but he
and
was
you called him
he
out.
was in a victory medal.
It was the victory medal, which is the biggest event of the year.
He finished actually, I got on stage. I think it was a break. I got on stage. I said, "Hey, by the way."
So were you supposed to be on stage? Or you just
No.
stormed on.
I
Oh
stood
my
there and I
god!
said, boy, 3,000 people or something yesterday. Bring your mate, bought it outside because we're gonna go to Vegas. We need some money, so make sure, you guys auction or whatever, put some money. And everyone was great to witness. The sponsors, everyone helped, and it was amazing. It was amazing. This club is a bit special,
Yeah.
because there's good people within the club. They're struggling a bit. It's been struggling the last couple of years, but there's some people that really deserve to be honest. It's the best.
Yeah, man, well said. I tell you what, we're gonna have to get you back on this podcast. I reckon you know what I'm gonna do. I reckon when it gets to playoffs, we'll do an NBA playoff
might be
podcast.
there.
And I think, if you're not
I don't
there,
think so, I don't
but you're off to America tomorrow to go watch Lakers,
Yeah.
Clippers, and Lakers Golden State. So, bro, thank you for coming on the
thanks
show,
for having
man.
me, man.
It's been a pleasure.
Next
Good
time.
to talk to you all day, but
Easy. Man, yeah.
we'll get you back on for the playoffs one
Yeah,
for sure.
we will. Easy.
All right.
No worries, bro.
Cheers, brother.
Cheers.